Hello and welcome to a new set of films. I've got a new playlist up on YouTube and I'm just deciding whether to post this or not. This is a bit of a leap. I've been told to make a leap. So yeah, I'm going to tell you what is actually happening right now on what date are we? The 10th of February 2023. I've been asked to go back to recording to keep a record of what's happening. Last time we did this, Chris and myself, was back in 2019. We did a whole series. In fact, 2018 end of to 2019, where there's a whole playlist you can watch. Yeah, we basically recorded in real time what was happening in the search for him, and retelling his, once we'd found out he was dead, the retelling of his story, like yeah, through trance mediumship. Chris showed me exactly what he wanted to show me, so we could complete his story, because he disappeared in Africa now 20 years ago. Or it's 20 years since he left for Africa. That was on the 6th of February. Or was it the 7th? But yeah, so we're now 20 years, and Chris has given me the complete and obvious sign that now is the time for us to have like the finding of the lost things, his bones and his belongings. And this is why I'm a bit nervous about recording. Well, I'm not nervous about recording it. I'm nervous about putting it out there, because it's basically showing you what I do and what we do as the finder of lost things. So a little bit of background. Yeah, so Christmas time this year, so 2022, I finally came out as a rescue medium. And I kind of always been skirting around it and never labeled myself as that. But this is what I do. I release stuck spirits. I've been doing it for many years now. And part of it is, for Chris, we have released his sort of energy from the physical. We've released all his emotions about it, about his death and how he died. And we've sort of on a spiritual level, he and I have connected as souls, and we have this incredibly like titanium bond, we call it. So the level that's left for him to be released from his earthboundness is his physical bones and his belongings. Chris has been showing me, and several people in our inner circle within Rays, within our community, giving us clues about where he is. He's been like giving visual clues. He's been giving us images. He's been talking a lot. He and I have been talking a lot. We went away on retreat last week. We've really solidified the process of how this is going to happen. It's going to look like divine intervention. It's going to look like 20 years after he died, suddenly he appears. Well, his bones and his belongings appear. But let me tell you on the record here now, there is divine intervention, obviously, but the energy that's been put into what is going to happen has been, in physical terms, in my time, has been going on for so we got the first inklings of it many years ago, really, and it's just building momentum. And every time around this year I get this real, right, this is going to happen, and then something else happens as the focus is moved away from it. But this year, and I've had a warning about that this morning, which is why I'm recording it, the focus is so strong. I now have this big group of people around me. I've got my team around me in the physical and in spirit. We know what we do as rescue mediums, we know the process, and we are ready to support other people once this story comes out. Yeah, so the momentum has built so much that and it's 20 years. So there's something quite interesting about this which needs to be recorded, the timings. So Christian was following in the footsteps of a Scottish explorer called Mungo Park, who went out 200, well, when Chris was doing his travel, it was 200 years that Chris was marking since Mungo had been out to West Africa, and he was following the source of to find the direction that the River Niger flowed in, and also where it where it finished, and to trace its navigation, basically to be able to use it to bring gold and the resources within that area of Africa out. So that was, Chris was doing his travels to mark the bicentenary of Mungo doing his. Mungo was actually I got a book. In fact, this is a recent book which is good because the interest in Mungo is coming back. It's this book, Majestic River, Mungo Park and the Exploration of the Niger by Charles W.J. Withers. And in it, the puppy got hold of it. It's got torn at the side. But it's right here. By the late 18th century, the River Niger was a 2,000-year-old two-part geographical problem. Solving it would advance European knowledge of Africa, provide a route to commercial opportunity, and help eradicate the evil of slavery. So Mungo was answering a 2,000-year-old kind of conundrum about which direction did it flow in, and the navigation of it. So we've got the numbers 2,000, take off a 0, we've got the 200 that Christian was marking, and then it's been 20, and take off another 0, it's been 20 years since Chris was disappeared off the face of the earth, or certainly in Mali. So there's this beautiful synchronicity that is happening around this, and it just feels like all the pieces are being pulled together, and there's going to be a completion, like a revelation, a discovery. So Chris has been showing me this is the thing about spirit. They give you clues all the time. They can be little flashes of images, they can be a sudden knowing about something, they can give you dreams, they can give you signs, they can give you anything. And usually it won't make any sense whatsoever, absolutely no sense, and you'll be like, no, not sure what that's all about, but write them all down. I've got like journals full. I've kept a journal right from the beginning back in 2015. So I've got hundreds, well, not hundreds, but tens and tens and tens right over there of journals of Chris and I, and our awakening, our joining together, our healing, our transformation. Anyway, all of these clues are now coming together, and I've understood them, and I can understand how every event that's happened over the years, every person that I've met, every company that I've worked around, every thread has been pulled together for this to happen. So Chris is obviously in Africa. He's not resting in peace. His bones are not resting in peace. He doesn't want to be there anymore. His bones don't want to be there anymore. He wants to be brought home to Christian's Meadow, which is a piece of land that I now own in the UK. And that only happened at the end of last year. I got transferred this piece of land. I have been shown how he gets found, how he's identified, what part I play, who I take out with me, who I use to bring him back. It's very intricate, very intricate. And I'll be sharing it on these films as it unfolds, which is what I did when a few years ago. So this feels, and it's a big leap for me. This is a big leap to get back into that, into sharing the story. I did all the last time I did this, or we did this, I did Facebook Lives, but this time it feels like YouTube. And some of the films will be short, some of them will be long. They won't be edited because I never edit anything. And I never script anything because, and I tell you why, because Spirit drop things in all the time. So Chris will be dropping things in for me. My guides, our guides will be dropping in things. I will be saying things in my words, which you need to hear as well. Like I actually said to somebody the other day, it was a comment that somebody was sort of, you know, he was switching off as I was speaking. I rambled too much and I talked too much, and I never get to a point. And I just said to him, well, just have me on in the background, because you will hear what you need to hear from these films. Okay, I will get given things to say during these films, which will be for you as the viewers. So you can follow along with our story about how we find Chris's bones and his belongings 20 years after he went he disappeared, but you will also receive what you need to hear from it. How we do the searching, and how we've learned a lot of lessons on the way. When Chris went first missing, we obviously searched in the real world. We searched in the physical for him. We had people on the ground. We had the police went out from the UK. We had Malian police. We had trackers. We had friends of Chris who went out to search. We had everything for about 2.5 years, and there absolutely no trace was ever found of Chris. He literally disappeared. So that was very much in the physical, and it was frustrating. There were brick walls everywhere. I mean, I was living in Cornwall, kind of like on the other side of the country. Mum and Dad, particularly Mum, was living with this complete nightmare, and every step, that was like 1 step forward and then 3 back, 5 back. It was so disheartening, but Mum just kept carrying on. She was so determined, and I guess that's, you know, why I'm determined and have been determined all the way along. But bless her, and Christian's friends as well. Everybody did what they could, whether that was raising funds, whether that was going out to search, whether that was just supporting Mum and Dad, whether that was you know, emailing friends, passing contacts around. Yeah, everyone did an amazing job. But it was all kind of external searching. And then when I started to search, I had just this calling to go and search for Chris again, and I thought I could find him. I had this real belief that I could find him, which was 2016. We had the internet then properly, and we had social media then, which we didn't have 20 years ago. So I was using, again, I was searching for him externally using social media. And we got the story back in the news. I was on BBC Radio, BBC TV. He was featured on Britain's Got Talent, when the Missing People Choir was singing in the semi-final. I was filmed as part of ITV's Missing Families, I think, with Davina McCall. They never actually filmed it, but I was there at a church service speaking at my letter to Christian at the Missing People Christmas concert. That was filmed. I don't think it was televised, but it was filmed. And then I was also on BBC's religious program, Songs of Praise. They did a section on the Missing People Choir that I actually joined as well. So there was lots of media interest again. There was lots of articles about it, and again, it all just went to nothing. Like, it was all the red herrings, everybody involved, frustration, brick walls, everything, and still nothing. So I learnt that to search for Chris, I had everything that I needed within me, and that I was only going to find him by I'm hearing the word igniting and cleaning, like my heart lamp. That's how I'm hearing it. And actually shining out to attract Chris to me, sort of clearing out our relationship of gunk. So there was no conditional love there. It was all just unconditional. So wherever you are, Chris, whatever you're doing, whatever you you know, I'm going to always be here for you. I'm going to be a beacon for you. I will support you. I will, whatever the situation is, I'm here for you. But I had to do that all internally, and it was love for myself. As first of all, you have to love yourself and be shining really brightly for yourself before you can attract the love that back. That's number one. That is number one. I'm not going to go into the process of that, but basically all the work is internal. It's like all the healing, all the transformation has to be internal work, which involves the stillness. Yeah, it's basically healing that you need to do, and to clear this gunk away from your heart and allow like the love that's within you to shine out. And that's what I did with Chris, and he came towards me in his spirit form. We thought he was still alive. We were sort of speaking telepathically with each other, but he was actually dead, or he had passed over. He was earthbound. But we had this such strong connection by then, and we'd had all that. Yeah, that it was just like unconditional love between us. There was nothing blocking our connection. So when we found out that he was actually dead, it was sad, obviously, because you still live with that hope that you're going to see them again in the physical one day. You're going to be able to hug them again, and just be with them and have that relationship again. But of course, Chris would never have been the same if he'd come home after what he had been through. So anyway, I have my brother still, and the grief we had between us, we had been releasing over while we'd been sort of telepathically speaking to each other. So we had been releasing the grief between us. So the energy between us was flowing freely. There was no stagnant energy. There was no emotions that were kind of being held tightly. Everything was out in the open. We discussed a lot of things through writing together. Yeah, so that's kind of how there's no point in pushing and searching and like trying really hard to get to somebody or something. You do the inner work in yourself, and then the intention, like what's your heart's desire, and attracting that to you. So that's what we've been doing with Chris's bones and belongings. So I'm not going to say what we've been doing. At some point it will come out, but it's all been internal work. It's all been energetic work. Chris's longing, his heart's desire now is to rest in peace, and for his belongings to be found. He has very meager belongings. I suspect there would just be some clothes and maybe a piece of jewelry or something. And I think he's got before he left, I thought, what can I give him that's tiny? Because he basically just took a rucksack and a tent on his own. Nothing. There was no GPS, there was no nothing. He was doing it as close as Mungo would have done it. So I actually bought him a tiny little survival handbook. It was like tiny, and I think I inscribed inside it, because that's what I do. I love books, and I regularly give people books, and I usually would inscribe them. And I think he has that little book in his rucksack. So I'm calling in the energy from that object that I am connected with. And obviously Chris and I have, being siblings, our soul siblings, we don't have any other siblings. we share genetics, like the same DNA in our bones. And I am calling that. So it goes with the things that we share, or the things that have bonded us. Okay. Yeah, that was important to tell you. So basically, if you've got something in your life at the moment, so how this can relate to you, if you've got something in your life at the moment where you kind of, there's something that you want to find, something that you want to do, some calling that you have, and it kind of means you need to go your own way. Because when I was searching for Chris, or when I started walking into the unknown and having this call from spirit, I got warmth in my back. I got all these signs, dreams, lucid dreaming, all these things started to happen to me, and it was basically spirit calling me. And I resisted quite firmly for quite a long time, but I was like, I had this calling and I needed to find Christian. It was bigger than that calling to find Chris was bigger than anything in my life. And it just kept pulling me forward. But it meant going on my own. It meant going into this world of spirituality. There was nothing like that in our family. My friends that are around me, nobody was on that path at all. It was I just knew I had to do this. I had to go against the rules, against society, against what was possible. I mean, who would think finding Chris would be possible? On the outside it didn't look possible at all, because he just disappeared, but internally there was a way. I was shown a way to find him. So yeah, if you're kind of fighting, something that you need to do, but everything around you kind of is not geared up for you to actually do that, or you're maybe working in a job but your real calling is something else, but you're kind of caught in the sort of bureaucracy of life or systems or something that isn't really working for you. And it might be that you're feeling burnt out. It might be, feeling like just exhaustion, and you're sort of always pushing. You're maybe in amongst people who are not supporting you, who you feel are draining your energy. It's like that acknowledgement to, what you need, and where you're being called, and you need to kind of follow yourself, your inner guidance system. And that's kind of something that you need to acknowledge. It's maybe not something you can action straight away, but it's almost like, it's, even if you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, okay, there's acknowledgement of something that's going on, that you need to break out of the system, break out of what you're in. You know what's right for you, what you need. Christian, obviously being the adventurous chap, and he's very obsessive. He was very obsessive about his any project that he was involved in. He would always do a sole project, like a solo project. He didn't really, he did work in collaboration with other people, but the project was really his. And he was very driven. He liked to travel on his own because he didn't like to be I'm being swayed, like pulled off in different directions. He was very focused. And he planned his trip for at least 6 months before he went. I visited him before he went, and his room was covered in maps, in books, in notes, and he was like completely and utterly focused and obsessed with Mungo Park and doing this trip. It's this now, his energy. I mean, this is Chris and myself doing this. We're calling it like the final mission, because it's like the final completion part, and it will allow him to completely release from the physical. It's almost like he can be completely rebirthed. Yeah. And he wants to travel, he wants to do this fast, he's very direct. Now he's kind of shown me I'm ready to deal with this as well. It feels like it's going to happen very quickly. There's going to be travel involved. There's energy and enthusiasm for this project. And there's it's like the completion of a really important task. And that's what I need to accept now, that this is on. And me talking to you, the audience, or just recording this and speaking out loud, because when you speak out loud, the universe hears. And it's like I'm asking now for the universe to put all of this in motion that Chris and I have been working for so long, and to meet us halfway, because this is the real leap. Chris and I, myself particularly, in the physical, are making this leap. And there's reputation involved. There's my reputation involved. I mean, I can do this work with people behind the scenes in our group, and do one-to-one work with people and stuck spirits. But this is outward. So this is big reputation time. But there's the energy and enthusiasm for Chris is in that. This is his heart's desire. My heart's desire was to find him. His heart's desire now is to rest in peace in Christian's Meadow, and to have a complete release. So there's going to be lots of changes in life. I think this is going to happen very quickly now. It's as I said before, it's the movement of this has been coming back around this time of year so many times. I'd probably say 3-4 years worth at least. This has been coming back. 4 years. This has been coming back at this time of year. Exactly 4 years ago. That's interesting. And it's like, I don't know. Everything always happens out the blue, and I never know when things are going to happen. And that's part of the patience that I've had to learn. You have to be patient. And my words for this year are trust and surrender. And without trust and surrender and patience, it's a real, I mean, I've done that. It's horrible. But now I know I'm completely held. I know the energies that I work with. We've got our team behind us. I can feel completely like trusting, and I have faith that this is going to happen. And timing is almost like irrelevant, although I have been given clues, many clues along the years as to when it's going to happen. So I'm going to keep that to myself. But because we've started recording, and I'm going to do weekly recordings, so we'll see. And it feels like there's like big changes are going to happen to me and probably my family, like big sudden changes. And I think I've always been I've known they're coming. I've been shown they're coming, and I think I've probably been resisting that. I haven't been ready, but it feels like I'm ready, and my family are ready. They must be ready. Everybody has to be ready. That's the thing sometimes with having the patience, is that you have to know that everybody in the line, everybody in the event, that to make it happen here. So for us, like in the UK, in Africa, and other people around the world who are part of our raise team, they all have to be ready. Like we all have to be ready for this to happen. And then it's going to turn out so beautifully. and we will have the biggest impact. So all of this has happened for you, like the viewers, because everything that Chris and I have been through, we've been learning lessons. We've been exploring this afterlife. We've been exploring and flourishing in it, and we've been supporting and learning what our abilities and gifts can help, like how they can help you and the people who come to us directly for support, so stuck spirits who come directly for support, and you in the physical who come because you feel either you have possibly a stuck loved one, or you feel like you could be a rescue medium in waiting, ready to come online and learn how to support the stuck spirits that are around. So yeah, everybody has to be ready in the chain, and then like it falls. It's like a domino. I'm always shown it's dominoes. It's like once everyone's in line, it all falls, and once it falls, it's going to go. Chris has been working. He's just telling me he's been working so hard on this. They're in spirit. The time and space is completely different to human, to physical time and space. So he can be anywhere, anywhere, and on multiple different levels at different times, and he's been working really hard to get everybody into place. Well, not just him, but this is going to be huge when it happens, and the impact that it's going to have on everyone who's even hearing our words or watching. And I know what we're going to create with it. These films, writings, yeah, it's all there ready to waiting. But yeah, at the moment we actually had our so within Raise, our online community, we have an inner circle team, and we have a meeting each week online because people are all over the place, and clues are starting to come through for when our story is finished, when our work with the stuck spirits and the afterlife, and when that has dissipated, because obviously over time, once we've done our creations, and the energy from it will just will go out. It'll be birthed outwards, and Chris and I will be like, okay, our work is done in that area. And then there is a plan for Chris and I and lots of others collaborating in another area, in sustainability, in charity work, in foundations, women and children. So all of this, and nature and animals, and that area, which is what Christian loved and which I love, that's my background as well. We're starting to get clues about that already, and I got distracted yesterday by following that pathway, and I've been reminded this morning that I need to forget about what I'm being shown, like the new things that I'm being shown, and just keep focused on the bones and belongings, and just trust that the signs and all the little clues that I start getting for our future, I just have to let them just come in and write them down somewhere and just keep note of everything, and then nearer the time, in physical time, that will then happen. So for you, if you've got a project that you're like, you've been really focused on, and you've got real loads of energy there and there's enthusiasm, please don't get distracted by new things that are coming in, because they will be there for your like well into the future. Don't get distracted by them now, and just keep focusing on what lights you up and what is your heart's desire, and just allow other things to be percolating, because there has to be so much happen, like I said, with events, people, and just allow it all to, like, hand that over. You don't need to get involved, and it will all become clear. Like, all the puzzle pieces will become clear, and that's what I need to do now. All those things, just allow them to come in and keep them for the future, and just believe that, like, just patience, and just believing that it will all be fine. And the intricate planning, this is, my voice is going, so like, this is from directed voice, so the plan is working its way out. There's nothing that you need to do, just keep being focused and one foot in front of the other. and yeah, focused, and cooperate with the universe. Like, if opportunities come up and they are in line with where you're focusing, take them, take that opportunity, which is why I'm starting to do these films, and just keep being determined. Don't push. You don't need to push. Just receive. It's almost like you have to be in that stillness and that receiving, but just be open to receiving what you need to do, and how you need to be. Yeah, so it's all fine. Everything's happening. It's like basically the energy that you're giving out, you're attracting all the things towards you. And it's all the energy of love and the heart. And that's all it is. I say that's all it is, but it is. All the fear, when you've got stagnant energy and fear energy and low energy, nothing can happen through that. You're just attracting more fear and more stagnation. You just need to, but you will be getting the signs that, oh, the clues are starting to come in for you. The calling is starting to come for you. And it's just accepting, making that walk into that unknown. Okay, that's all I need to record at the moment, I feel. And then next week, we'll do another film and see where we've got to. So this is basically recording and keeping a progress report for use later on. But if anyone's watching and following along, brilliant. You're going to be part of the journey with us. Okay, loads of love, and I'll see you next week. Bye.